What if I told you one assassination started a war that killed millions of people? A war so massive that countries from different continents got involved. Soldiers fought inside muddy trenches for years. New deadly weapons were introduced. Entire empires collapsed. And the craziest part? This war actually created the conditions for World War II. So in today's video, we'll understand World War I in the easiest and most interesting way possible. We'll cover why the war started, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, why America joined the war, why Russia left the Treaty of Versailles, and the major consequences of the war. Don't worry, this won't feel like a boring history lecture. By the end of this video, you'll fully understand World War I in a simple and memorable way. So let's begin with the war that changed modern history forever. Before 1914, Europe looked peaceful from the outside. Countries were becoming powerful, industries were growing, and people believed the future would only get better. But behind this peace, many countries were secretly competing with each other. They were building huge armies, making alliances, and fighting for power. Slowly, tension started increasing across Europe. Then in 1914, one assassination triggered a chain reaction, and suddenly the entire world was pushed into war. This war became known as World War I, or the Great War. It lasted for 4 years and completely changed world history. Millions of soldiers lost their lives. New dangerous weapons were used for the first time. Powerful empires collapsed. And even after the war ended, its effects continued for many years. In fact, many historians believe World War I directly led to World War II. So to understand the modern world, we first need to understand World War I. Historians often explain the causes of World War I using the word MAIN. Each letter represents one major cause, and together, they created the perfect storm. Militarism. Europe had become obsessed with military power. Countries believed strong armies meant strong nations. Germany rapidly expanded its army. Britain built huge battleships called dreadnoughts. Defense spending exploded across Europe. Leaders didn't fear war anymore. In fact, and many believed war would be short, glorious, and heroic. Military plans were already prepared. Germany even had the famous Schlieffen Plan, a strategy to quickly defeat France before attacking Russia. Europe wasn't preparing to avoid war. Europe was preparing for war. Alliances. Europe had split itself into two powerful groups, the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, and the Triple Entente, Britain, France, and Russia. These alliances meant that if one country entered war, others would automatically be dragged in too. So what could have remained a small regional conflict suddenly became a global catastrophe. Imperialism. European powers were competing for colonies around the world. Britain and France controlled massive empires. Germany felt left behind. Kaiser Wilhelm II wanted Germany's place in the sun. This created rivalry, tension, and mistrust. Crises in places like Morocco nearly started wars even before 1914. Europe was becoming dangerously aggressive. Nationalism. Nationalism was perhaps the most explosive cause of all. People believed their nation, race, or ethnic group was superior. In the Balkans, Serbian nationalism became extremely powerful. Serbia wanted to unite all Slavic people into one nation, but many of those people lived inside Austria-Hungary. This directly threatened the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And eventually, nationalism fired the very first shot of the war, the shot that started a world war. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, visited Sarajevo. A Serbian nationalist group planned to assassinate him. Earlier that day, one attack failed, but fate had other plans. Later, Ferdinand's driver accidentally took a wrong turn and stopped right in front of a young man named Gavrilo Princip. Princip pulled out a pistol. 2 shots were fired. Within minutes, Franz Ferdinand and his wife were dead. That assassination triggered the July Crisis. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Germany promised unconditional support. Russia supported Serbia. France backed Russia. Britain backed France. And within just 37 days, Europe exploded into World War. Why did America enter the war? For most of the war, America stayed neutral. President Woodrow Wilson even won re-election using the slogan, "He kept us out of war." But everything changed in 1917. Lusitania. In 1915, a British passenger ship called the Lusitania was sunk by a German submarine. Nearly 1,200 people died, including Americans. The world was shocked. Germany defended itself by saying the ship carried war supplies, but American anger began growing rapidly. Zimmermann telegram. Then came the Zimmermann telegram. Germany secretly sent a message to Mexico saying, if America enters the war, Mexico should attack the USA. In return, Germany promised to help Mexico recover Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Britain intercepted and revealed the message. Americans were furious. USA's impact. In April of 1917, America officially entered the war, and this completely changed everything. Fresh American soldiers arrived in Europe. Massive financial support strengthened the Allies. Germany realized time was running out. America's entry became one of the biggest turning points of World War I. Russia's exit, revolution, and chaos. While America entered the war, Russia was collapsing from inside. Millions of Russian soldiers had died. Food shortages caused riots. People lost faith in the Tsar. In 1917, the Russian Revolution began. Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. Then later that year, Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized power. Their promise was simple: peace, land, and bread. Lenin immediately wanted Russia out of the war. So in 1918, Russia signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany. Russia lost huge territories, but finally exited World War I. This allowed Germany to move troops to the Western Front, but by then, America had already entered the war. End of the war, the final collapse. By 1918, Germany was exhausted. Food shortages devastated civilians, soldiers were tired, allies were advancing. Germany launched one final desperate attack called the Spring Offensive. At first it worked, but eventually Allied forces, strengthened by fresh American troops, pushed Germany back. One by one, Germany's allies collapsed. Bulgaria surrendered. The Ottoman Empire surrendered. Austria-Hungary broke apart. Finally, on November 11, 1918, the guns fell silent. The armistice was signed. World War I was over, but peace had not truly arrived. Treaty of Versailles. Peace or punishment. In 1919, world leaders gathered in Paris to create peace, but instead of reconciliation, many wanted revenge. Germany was blamed for the entire war through Article 231, the famous War Guilt Clause. Germany had to pay huge reparations, reduce its military, give up territory, lose all colonies, accept humiliation. Germans called it a diktat, a dictated peace. Many believed the treaty was unfair and insulting, and that anger would later become one of Hitler's most powerful political weapons. Consequences of WWI. How the world was remade. The consequences of World War I were devastating. Around 20 million people died. Over 21 million were wounded. 4 empires disappeared forever: German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Ottoman Empire, Russian Empire. New countries were created. Economies collapsed, and another disaster struck: the Spanish flu pandemic. It killed millions more across the world. Politically, extremism began rising: fascism in Italy, Nazism in Germany, communism in Russia. The world had changed forever. League of Nations. The first attempt at world peace. After such destruction, leaders wanted to prevent another world war, so they created the League of Nations. Its goal was simple: solve conflicts peacefully before they became wars. It sounded like a brilliant idea. But the League had major weaknesses. It had no army. Important countries were missing. Decisions required unanimous votes. When Japan invaded Manchuria, the League failed. When Italy invaded Ethiopia, the League failed again. Slowly, dictators realized nobody would stop them. The League collapsed in failure, but its ideas later inspired the creation of the United Nations after World War II. Conclusion, lest we forget. World War I officially ended in 1918, but its scars never truly disappeared. Every trench held someone's son, every battlefield held someone's dream, and the mistakes made after the war created even greater destruction later. World War I teaches us something powerful. Wars don't begin overnight. They begin with pride, fear, hatred, and failed diplomacy. And when leaders fail, ordinary people suffer the most. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And comment below, do you think the Treaty of Versailles was fair, or did it make World War II inevitable? Thanks for watching. And remember, history is not just about the past. It explains the world we live in today.